Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and today I want to talk to you about the elements. So I already filmed this video yesterday, but unfortunately the first half of the video is gone because one of the files got corrupted. So here I am filming it once again. So don't be surprised if the first half of the video looks a little bit different to the last half of the video. So as I said, today's topic are the four elements. And I would like to start out by explaining what the elements are and by telling you a little bit about where they came from. So the elements that witches work with nowadays are water, earth, air and fire. They were first defined by the Greek philosopher Empedocles around the 500th century BC. But back then the theory wasn't about the energies of the four elements, but it was about matter being made up of the physical four elements. Back then the ancient Greeks thought that all matter was made up of the four elements in their physical form. That theory has been refined and added to and adapted over the century by other philosophers and also by a lot of alchemists. So it changed from being around the physical representation of the four elements to the energies. The theory of the four elements in its various forms has been used in philosophy, in psychology, in medicine and even in science for a long time. But as I said, nowadays the theory of the four elements that us witches work with is not about the physical representation of the four elements, but the energies. The four elements nowadays are just a way of categorizing different kinds of energies. So every element defines a specific kind of energy. But even though we don't work with the original theory of the four elements that was first defined by Empedocles, we still think that everything is made up of the four elements. But just not the physical form, but energetically. And from the theory that everything is made up of the four elements, in varying proportions as I said, comes the theory of the correspondences. I bet you have probably already heard a sentence like X and Y corresponds to the element of air, for example. And that just means that this thing that's talked about just has more air energy than the three other ones. So more air energy than fire, water or earth energy. That's just what a correspondence is about. So for example, if you say a crystal has a correspondence to one element, it just means that it vibrates in a similar way to the element. So in my opinion, the elements are a very basic thing that you should learn early on when you're getting into witchcraft. Because just going from the elements, you can create very great spells. That's honestly what I do most of the time. I just think of the intention of the spell, and then I try to make up which element corresponds to my intention, and I work my way up from there. So I will probably make a separate video on how to construct a spell, and I will go more into depth on that in that video. But as I said, the elements are a great way to start off creating a spell. You just have to find the intention of your spell, and then find the element that corresponds with that intention. So for example, if the intention of your spell is to pass a test at school, you'd work with the element of air, and then you would work with different materials that correspond to the element of air. So now I will go into the elements separately and give you some correspondences and tell you what the element is about, how the energy of the element feels. Of course, you have to keep in mind that these correspondences are always very personal. It's very, very possible that you completely disagree with what I say, and that's totally okay. But yeah, these are just the correspondences that are typically used. In my opinion, it's always best to just... I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you hear my cat in the background, she's screaming for attention. So yeah, what I wanted to say was that in my opinion it's always best to try to understand the concept of the element and then make up your own correspondences by using your intuition. For me that works best. So let's start with the element air. The element of air is a masculine, active, projecting kind of energy. It's very changing in nature. It's about the intellect, about communication, about your thoughts, about your mind. Its cardinal direction is the east, its season is spring, and its time of the day is dusk. The day of the week that corresponds to the element of air is Wednesday. Its typical color correspondence is yellow, since the 4 elements have 4 typical colors and the typical color for water is blue, so the one for air is yellow. I personally struggle a little bit with it, but I just try to go with it. The astrological signs that correspond with the element of air are Gemini, Libra and Aquarius. And its physical representations, so the representations you can work with, for example, in spells, are a feather, the athame or athame, I have no idea how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. The sword, incense and every kind of smoke. And last but not least, the elemental being of the element of air is the sylph. So a typical spell intention you would want to use the element of air for would be passing a test, for example, or enhancing your communication skills. Next up is the element of fire. It's also a masculine, active and projecting type of energy. The element of fire is all about passion and lust and high energy. It's also about action and your will. The cardinal direction of fire is south, its season is spring, and its time of the day is noon. Its days are Sunday and Tuesday, and its colors are red, orange and gold, so everything that's very warm. The one typical color is red. Astrological signs that correspond with the element of fire are Leo, Aries and Sagittarius. Physical representations of the element of fire are the wand, then of course fire, duh, and candles, pretty obvious. And the elemental being of the element of fire is the salamander, and no, not the animal. So typical spell intentions you would use the element of fire for would, for example, be to enhance your self-confidence, or to enhance your ability to take the first step in situations or to take charge of situations. Next up is the element of water, which is very different than fire. It's feminine, it's more passive and more receptive type of energy. It's all about your emotions, the subconscious, about compassion, psychic abilities and dreams. The cardinal direction of water is west, its season is fall, and its time of the day is dawn. The days of the week that correspond with the element of water are Monday and Friday. Its colors are blue, purple, indigo and silver, although blue is the typical correspondence. The astrological signs that correspond to the element of water are Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. The physical representations of the element of water are water, duh, but also seashells and pearls and a chalice. And last but not least, its elemental being is the Undine. And the last of the 4 elements is the element of earth. It's also a feminine, passive and receptive type of energy. It's about health and fertility, stability, security, but also money, possessions, material things. Its cardinal direction is north, its season is winter, and its time of day is midnight. The days of the week that correspond with the element of earth are Thursday and Saturday. Its color correspondences are brown, black and green, but green is the typical color correspondence. The astrological signs that correspond to the element of earth are Taurus, Virgo and Capricorn. Its physical representations are, for example, soil, salt, stones or plants. And last but not least, its elemental being is a gnome. So that's it about the elements. As I said, I will make a separate video about how to construct a spell, and I will go more into depth about how to use the elements in your spells in that video. So as always, I hope you liked the video, I hope it was informative. Make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! bye.